United governments say they cannot afford to rebuild St. Martin, and as soon as a new government was formed, funds appeared for reconstruction locally. Well, I think I didn't hear it, but if it was said that the government of St. Martin cannot rebuild St. Martin, it's an absolute fact. When you take into consideration the extent of damages that was suffered from Hurricane Irma and Maria, it's so huge that, yes, we would not be able to rebuild St. Martin from the resources which we have without assistance from abroad. That should not be confused with the ability of the government to do a roof program or a food voucher program. That is not rebuilding St. Martin. That is an effort to provide people in need with some relief, but does not constitute rebuilding of St. Martin. And then the question was, will all this emergency spending affect taxpayers and loan interest on bonds? Well, up to now, not, because no loans have been engaged which bear interest on the funds that have been allocated for relief, roof relief as well as food relief, comes and is charged towards the government budget. And in times of these, based on the financial supervision law, to put it plainly, you could run a deficit budget in order to spend money to provide these kinds of relief. It's much more complicated than that, of course, but I won't get into that now. Just in answer to the specific question, is loan interest and bonds being affected by this? The answer to that is no. Do you have a rescue plan for USM and the post office? No, I do not have a rescue plan for USM and the post office. USM falls under the Ministry of Education, and questions as to what plans she has based on the budget she has to see if something can be done or should be done for USM, she's the one who would have to address that. And as far as the post office is concerned, post office falls under the Ministry of General Affairs, and the post office, of course, has a major problem because its business model no longer works. With email and the way the entire environment has changed in terms of communication, the model on which the post office was built on no longer complies. It has to change, it has to be reduced, and I understood that the Prime Minister have given some kind of explanation and plans that he had in dealing with the post office issue, including the engagement of a company that went through the same process with the best islands, Bonaire, Saba, and St. Eustatius, as far as the post office is concerned. Further details, I will have to refer you to the Prime Minister and the Ministry of Education for any other details on this. MP George Pandeflet asked, what does the 550 million comprise of? Is it cash? Is it a cash injection, technical assistance, or is it material? The 550 million, as I understand it, is a fund created by the Dutch government with Dutch taxpayers' monies and earmarked for assistance for St. Martin and the damages suffered by St. Martin from Hurricane Irma and Maria. How this fund is going to be spent is still yet not known. Discussions are taking place. There was one this week. There's one going to be held on Friday between top civil servants of the Netherlands as well as St. Martin, with the aim and attempt to create a structure together with the World Bank, whom the Netherlands have selected to manage the program relating to this 550 million euro fund. And concretely, how it's going to be done has not yet been established. What has been said is that the 550 million will be managed by the World Bank, that the projects that are going to be executed with this 550 million will be projects that will be discussed with the government of St. Martin, but managed by the World Bank. There is also discussions relative to, because the process that they have engaged will take several months before all the agreements are in place that need to be in place with the World Bank, before concrete agreements can be reached in terms of exactly what projects are going to be executed. To be able to determine that, you need reports from experts, which has been engaged or who are presently preparing such reports. One of them is the Recovery Commission of St. Martin itself, but also from the UN arm called ICLAC, the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean. They are experts in this field, and based on their report, you can then make an analysis. You will then have the information, the statistics necessary to be able to make a judgment as to how to move forward in rebuilding the economy of St. Martin. There is a question that is imposed about this, whether or not the ICLAC report is finalized. The answer to that question is no, it's not. Neither has the Recovery Commission of St. Martin report been finalized. I know an interim report has been issued, but it is an interim report. My understanding is that there's discussion between the Recovery Commission as well as the ICLAC body to together come together and have one report issued, but don't hold me to that. That's what I understood the steps are that are presently being followed. So, what is going to happen with the 550 million euro? It's premature to determine how that is going to be spent. What the structure is going to be. It should not surprise anyone if it takes up to at least the first quarter of next year to be able to get everything finalized, that you could start with receiving tranches needed to start executing the projects that has to be agreed upon.
Hey guys, did you know that now with Telcel, if you accumulate $25 or more within 1 calendar month, you get 15 more?
15 more?
Yes, 15 more. However you want.
So I can top up $3 now, $10 next week, and so on until I reach or pass $25?
That's right. Get 15 more.
Wow! I feel like a 15 again.
Yeah. Right. Accumulate $25 or more within 1 calendar month and get 15 more. Telcel, when you want more.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NV.
Minister, as you began answering the questions, I started to smile because we have a history that is outside of this environment, and I know you. I must say I know you very well in terms of your keenness and how you approach certain issues, but. I chuckle because last December, I think it was, when we were discussing the budget, 2017 budget, one of the things that you had indicated to Parliament was that that in the reality of government is that everyone operates in silos. That was the term that you used. And in order for us to be able to be disciplined budgetary-wise, we needed to come out of those little kingdoms that have been created and kind of follow one thread. And months later, you came back to Parliament and was proud and boasting of the fact that your budgets were balanced. And everything was in order. There was a surplus, although I still believe that if you take 30 million or 33 million from one of the government-owned companies to cover government's expenses, and that income is incidental income, the fact that is done to create a surplus of 6 million guilders means that without that 30 million plus, you would be running a deficit of at least 24 million. So, we differ in opinions on that because, again, it was proven today, an incidental income is not a structural revenue source. In your presentation, you indicated that GEBE and the airport now are faced with challenges where their concession fees and the same income that was taken from them last year, we can't touch for the next 2 to 3 years. So, that is just the times that we're faced with because of Irma. Also, it is very ironic to listen or to hear the fact that the Council of Ministers and the Minister of Finance operate in different realms. And I'm saying that because if I'm not mistaken, if a minister or if a department requests to pay or engage in business with any third party on behalf of government, and advice must come from the Ministry of Finance for that. So it's hard for me to sit here and listen to when it comes to decisions that have been made that I wouldn't hear from the Minister of Finance stating that we have received the advice on such and such, and this was the issue of the Ministry of Finance. But what we're hearing is the buck is being passed. I ask this ministry or I ask that minister, bring them to Parliament. And minister, I'll tell you, we have tried, and outside of yourself, the Minister of Education and the Minister of VSA and the Prime Minister, the others are MIA, missing in action. But in any case, we have a country that we have to, and as Parliament, we have to protect, we have to manage, we have to, we have a oversight responsibility, and that we have to do what we have to do. Where it pertains to the rebuilding, or let's say the amount that you indicated, because you said the question that I asked was, were there any additional projects that were that government engaged since Hurricane Irma, and your answer was to that question, yes, but it was only specifically answered to the question, to the issue of the 8 million guilders. My question was, Madam Chair, and I'm asking this through you, my question was more of a general nature. So if the answer that yes, government engaged in projects since Hurricane Irma, and the one that you mentioned was the 8 million guilders for the roof repairs, I would assume. Were there any other, and if there are, what are they? The roof repair program and the food voucher program, Minister, is something that is necessary because of the fact that the country is devastated. We're still in that mode as a result of Hurricane Irma, and when government decides to allocate funds or discuss and make decisions on emergency funds, that process, and mind you, I'm not saying it shouldn't be, that process is lengthy because you have to get all the reports, all the advices, and make sure that all of the procedures are followed properly. But government can do that. The public, when they hear that, they are thinking, okay, government has approved 3 million, 5 million, 8 million to assist the public. I heard it on a Tuesday afternoon because we've heard this a month ago, and up until today, I can't receive any help, any assistance from that which government has promised. So the reality that is out there, and I'm saying this because of the experience that I've had, and I'm sure other my colleagues also, we are called on a daily basis by individuals, and to this self, I met a family of an 84-year-old individual that is struggling with dementia and doesn't have a roof over their head. Completely gone. A house that was probably built in the 60s, lived there all his life from a young man, but today he doesn't have an income, and you indicated just now that there's a threshold for those that would qualify, but then when you realize, or when you look at the reality that these people are living in, they don't have time to wait on that whole procedure. They don't have time because their roof went 3 months ago and the roof is still gone. They don't have the resources to do the repairs, And based on the criteria, 4,000 guilders, if you're on pension, then you come into consideration. They don't have that kind of time for that consideration. And it hurts me to know that these individuals doesn't have anywhere else to go but to their government or to their leaders. There's another old couple, 95-year-old lady, 88-year-old gentleman, same scenario. They might have had an income from rental, but if everything is devastated and everything is destroyed, where do they go? What do they do? You know, in this again, a 67-year-old gentleman that worked in a casino for years, his roof is destroyed. What is it that he can do? And what I'm hearing is, well, you know, we've had a meeting, we've made a decision, we've allocated 6 million, 8 million, 5 million, 3 million. We've allocated millions, but these people are still without hope for their issues. So, you know, I think government needs to be able to instead of plan, execute, because all we've been hearing now since the hurricane is we're planning to do this, we're planning to do that, while the pet projects that these ministers, the same ministers have, are being executed, you know.
People all across St. Martin are switching to a more rewarding experience. The WIB MasterCard Fun Miles credit card, better known as My Card. Earn 1 fun mile for every $2 spent, even abroad and online. This will quickly get you a ton of fun miles to redeem for travel, shopping, food, fuel, and much more. But there's more to My Card. Worldwide acceptance, an EMV chip for extra security, and 250 free fun miles with first use. Switch to My Card today at WIB.
Fun miles, from within your reach.
Hey guys, did you know that now with Telcel, if you accumulate $25 or more within 1 calendar month, you get 15 more?
15 more?
Yes, 15 more. However you want.
So I can top up $3 now, $10 next week, and so on until I reach or pass $25?
That's right. Get 15 more.
Wow! I feel like a 15 again.
Yeah. Right. Accumulate $25 or more within 1 calendar month and get 15 more. Telcel, when you want more.
It's been said that behind every door, possibility awaits. How much possibility depends on which door you open first. Every day, we help our customers discover the possibilities in their lives. It all starts with a conversation. Scotiabank. Discover what's possible.
I want to ask you, and it's the reformulation of a question asked before, but very specifically. We received from the minister the draft amended budget 2017. Not the formal one that has gone through the advisory council, etc., but we did receive a draft amended budget with the numbers. Part of that draft amended budget included the extra costs as a result of Hurricane Irma. The amounts listed there under the extra costs as a result of Hurricane Irma were the following: a contribution to some civil servants, transportation and the rental, $500,000 for that first item. Transportation and rental of cars, another 500,000. Removal of debris by VROMI, 10 million guilders. Overtime VROMI, 1 million. Overtime fire department, another million. Overtime ambulance department, 1 million. Free legal assistance, 500,000. Overtime justice, 1 million. Incidental cost justice, 500,000. Welfare, 5 million. This is in addition to the regular cost. Government medical cards, 5 million. Rental of buildings, in addition, 2 million. Material for schools, 1.5 million. Emergency repairs for schools and sport fields, 600,000. Emergency accommodation, 3 million. Own amount of the insurance, in other words, the part for that the government has to pay, the deductible, so to speak, 5 million. Temporary disaster relief programs, 5 million. The sickness insurance fund, 7 million. A total in extra cost due to Hurricane Irma of 50 million guilders. This has been offset somewhat by lower personnel cost of 12 million, thereby leaving a net amount of extra cost in connection with Hurricane Irma for 38 million guilders. My specific question and reason for mentioning these posts has to do with the comment, your comment, Minister, that all expenditures are checked by the Finance Department. The Budget Amendment 2017 has not yet been approved. One, according to the letter of CFT, exemption has not yet been requested for the application of Article 25 of the Kingdom Law on Financial Supervision. That's according to the CFT's letter of the 16th of November. So my specific question is, has this exemption in the meantime been requested? The exemption being that the government would not have to comply with the norms of amongst others, a balanced budget. So has this request for exemption of the norms that include a balanced budget, has that request been made? If that request has not been made and or an answer has not been received, how does the financial administration check off, according to the budget, any additional cost, amongst which, for example, the major and massive cleanup that has taken place, which according to this list here is budgeted at 10 million guilders. So has that request been made, and how does the Finance Department check off whether there is budget for any particular expenditures?